8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by G. Yogaraj and read by Lamani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. The President assures that Women and a Child Affairs Unit will be established at each police station in the country. The President underscores the government's commitment to amplify women's role in sustainable development. Veteran actress and journalist Ramya Vanigasekara passes away. Evening thunder showers possible in some areas today. A discussion was held between the National People's Power and Cuban ambassador this afternoon at the JVP headquarters. State Minister Aravind Kumar says that President's move to provide scholarships to 100,000 students from the low-income families shows the commitment of making the education venture a success. Gold hits fresh record, heads for best week in 5 months. In news overseas, U.S. military lifts ban on obstetric flights. And in sports news, Sri Lanka to host South Asian Youth Table Tennis Tournament in May. Those are the headlines, and now let's move to the details of the local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe assured that a Women and Child Affairs Unit will be established at each police station in the country. A special training program will be conducted in this regard. The President also said it has been a practice to speak about women on a day like this. That is not going to solve the women's issues. The President made these remarks at a national ceremony to mark the International Women's Day at Water's Edge in Battaramulla today. Addressing the audience, the President further said relevant acts will be established to protect the rights of women. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his message for the International Women's Day, asserted that the government is actively engaged in amplifying the role of women in propelling sustainable development. He emphasized that special focus is directed towards empowering women entrepreneurs in fast-growing sectors such as digital and green economies. Stressing that the government's commitment to Women's Day extends beyond mere symbolism, President Wickremesinghe pointed out that multiple initiatives have been taken in this regard, such as the formulation of new policies and regulations, including a national gender policy designed to combat discrimination against women. To this end, he said, the establishment of the National Commission for Women marks a significant milestone, accompanied by the drafting of legislation dedicated to promoting gender equality and women's empowerment. The head of state also highlighted that the ongoing legal reforms seek to enhance women's representation in the country's political sphere, ensuring that their voices are heard and respected. He also appealed to the female citizens to join hands in supporting the collective efforts to build a safer and more prosperous nation for the future generations. Veteran actress, journalist and former news presenter Ramya Vanigasekara passed away today, the family sources told the media. She was aged 73 years at the time of her demise. Ms. Vanigasekara made her debut stage drama appearance in 1976 with a minor role in the stage drama Hasiraja Mahatya. She had a breakthrough role in 1978 stage drama Manaranjana Vadavarjana. She also acted in many other stage dramas including Kalani Palama, Ahinsaka Vetu Minissu, Jela Unnahe, Rajakatava, Muhudputtu and Sirisangabo. In 1980, Vanigasekara made her career as a radio host in Radio Sri Lanka and was a regular news anchor until her retirement in the year 2006. She later joined the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, where she worked as a relief newscaster. Vanigasekara also appeared in a number of television dramas including Kumbio, Aas Gaua, Denuvara Manike, Kandigedara and Yes Boss. A discussion was held between the National People's Power and Cuban ambassador this afternoon at the JVP headquarters. A delegation headed by leader of NPP, Andra Kumara Dissanayake, participated in this discussion. The delegation, including the first secretary of Cuban embassy, participated in this discussion as well. The discussion focused on the long-term relationship between Sri Lanka and the Communist Party of Cuba. This discussion also strengthened the bilateral ties of the two nations. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
At People's Bank, we empower your pride. People's Bank, pride of the nation.
And we continue with more local news. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts in the evening or night today, the meteorological department said. However, mainly dry weather will prevail in the other areas of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning hours. State Minister Aravind Kumar said that the President's move to provide scholarships to 100,000 students from the low-income families shows the commitment of making the education venture a success. Under the President's advice, the necessary amendments will also be made in the education sector. Under this project, 20 zonal educational officers will be established in the near future. The State Minister made these remarks at a media conference held this morning at the Presidential Media Centre. Gold prices hit records high for the fourth consecutive session on Friday on growing speculations over June interest rate cuts ahead of key U.S. jobs data due later in the day. Spot gold rose 0.4% to $2,168.28 per ounce as at 10,000 hours GMT, while the U.S. gold futures added 0.5% to $2,175.5 US. Gold reached a new all-time high of $2,170.99 US early in the session and has gained more than 4.1% so far this week, setting it on track to post its biggest weekly percentage increase since mid-October. I think a lot of the demand that we are seeing in the coming is really from the paper market. It's just speculative demand, said Michael Widmer, Bank of America's head of metal research. You always had a good support from the Chinese buying and the central bank buying, but this has never been enough to take the prices high. The gold first surpassed its December peak on Tuesday, primarily aided by growing indications of cooling prices pressure and bullion's traditional safe haven cachet. The focus today is on the critical U.S. non-farm payroll data set to release at 1,300,000 GMT, which will guide the market direction in the near term. Low interest rates are gold supportive as they reduce the opportunity to cost of holding the bullion. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. The President assures that Women and a Child's Affairs Unit will be established at each police station in the country. The President underscores the government's commitment to amplify women's role in sustainable development. Veteran actress and journalist Ramya Manigasekara passes away. Evening thunder showers possible in some areas today. A discussion was held between the National People's Power and Cuban ambassador this afternoon at the JVP headquarters. State Minister Aravind Kumar says that the President's move to provide scholarships to 100,000 students from the low-income families shows the commitment of making the education venture a success. Gold hits fresh record, heads for best week in 5 months. And that was the local news.
You have got a transfer.
That's all right, sir. They're all our children.
The right decisions with noble intentions bring pride. At People's Bank, we empower your pride.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala.
The main news story for tonight, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his message for the International Women's Day, asserted that the government is actively engaged in amplifying the role of women in propelling sustainable development. He emphasized that the special focus is directed towards empowering women entrepreneurs in fast-growing sectors such as digital and green economies. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala.
And in Washington tonight, police seek public assistance to apprehend a suspect who is wanted in connection of a robbery at a house in the Vaulaguda area in Hikkadua. The police request the general public to inform the police of any information regarding the suspect's whereabouts through the below telephone numbers. Hikkadua Police Officer in Charge, that's OIC, 0718 591457, or the Hikkadua Police 091 2277 222. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. U.S. military lifts ban on Osprey flights. Biden calls out Trump in State of the Union. The UK to provide more than 10,000 drones to Ukraine. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. The US military has lifted its ban on flights of Osprey tilt-rotor transport aircraft, which had been grounded after a fatal crash in the southwestern Japan in November. The military announced the decision today. A CV-22 Osprey of the US Air Force crashed into the sea of Yokoshima Island on the 29th of November. All 8 crew members on board were killed. In December, the US military grounded not only just CV-22 fleet used by the Air Force, but all the Osprey deployed globally, including MV-22s used by the US Marine Corps and others. US President Joe Biden has delivered the last State of the Union address of his first term. Biden wasted no time drawing a contrast with his Republican challenger Donald Trump ahead of a likely rematch in the November presidential election. Speaking before a joint session of the Congress on Thursday, Biden called on Russian President Vladimir Putin over the war in Ukraine and took a swipe at the former President Trump. Britain says it will provide more than 10,000 drones to Ukraine to help the country fight Russia's invasion. Defense Secretary Grant Shapps announced the military assistance during a meeting with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev on Thursday. The British government says the unmanned aerial vehicles to be provided include first-person view drones, which enable the operator to see real-time footage as if they are on board, and surveillance as drone. And that was the world news.
Development news.
In development news, Sri Lanka attracted 40,877 tourist arrivals from March 1st to the 9th in the year 2024, showing early signs of bettering the total monthly arrivals figure for the year 2023 March, that is 125,495 towards the mid of the month. Sri Lanka in the last 2 months has maintained over 200,000 arrivals each month, with January 2024 recording 208,253 and February maintaining 218,350. In contrast, the country had 102,545 arrivals in January and 107,639 in February 2023. Russian Federation once again was the top source destination for Sri Lanka tourism, with 4,800 arrivals and accounting to 14% of the total market share. India remained second, while Germany and the United Kingdom stood at the third and the fourth place. That was the development news.
Moving on with sports news.
The Table Tennis Association of Sri Lanka has made all arrangements to conduct the South Asian Youth Table Tennis Championship, which is scheduled to be held from May 26th to 29th at the Municipal Council Indoor Stadium in Kandy. That is the sports news. Business news coming up.
Go ekak tiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Dialog Asiata PLC, Sri Lanka's #1 connectivity provider, announced the launch of a new prepaid home Wi-Fi plan designed to meet the evolving needs of today's customers, addressing the surge in social media usage while extending unmatched affordability and accessibility. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business news, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak tiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council Chairman Lord Marlan praised Sri Lanka's resilience, hospitality and entrepreneurial spirit after concluding a successful 3-day visit to Sri Lanka as a part of a larger trip to South and Southeast Asia. Highlighting Sri Lanka's current economic growth of 1.6%, he said he positions Sri Lanka as a nation on the move. Marlan also met State Minister of Investment Promotion Dilum Amunugama and reaffirmed commitment to support the government as a part of the strategic partnership. Minister Dilum Amunugama is due to visit London in March as a part of the Ministry of Investment Promotion's investment drive, and his visit will create a significant opportunity to foster further ties between the government, business sector and the CWIECI. That is economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts in the evening or night. Many dry weather will prevail over the other areas of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western and Sabaragamu provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts during the morning. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. The President assures that a Women and Child Affairs Unit will be established at each police station in the country. The President underscores the government's commitment to amplify women's role in sustainable development. Veteran actress and journalist Ramya Vanigasekara passes away. Evening thunder showers possible in some areas today. A discussion was held between the National People's Power and Cuban ambassador this afternoon at the JVP headquarters. State Minister Arvind Kumar says that the President's move to provide scholarships to 100,000 students from the low-income families shows the commitment of making the education venture a success. Gold hits fresh record, hence for the best in 5 months. In news overseas, US military lifts ban on Osprey flights. And in sports news, Sri Lanka to host South Asian Youth Table Tennis Tournament in May. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. Now it's back to your regular Friday evening host and my good friend Saudi on the other side of the glass panel to keep you entertained.